Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you have a warmer weather than we have here in Minnesota, but it looks like a lot of people are going to get to share in our coldness here in the next few days. So thanks for being on today. We'll go ahead and get started. Last week's 5Q tape breakdown. You got to start on the right foot. Listen to the 45-second snippet from the beginning of the 200-point checklist and tell me what you think is going through the client's mind. So guys, this is a great, if you're really committed to having a great 2022 and using the tools, the most powerful tools we have, make sure this is only getting to you every other week. It's worth the 5 minutes to listen to these and try to incorporate what we're talking about there. Make sense? So this is from the Irrelevant Investor. I love this guy, Mike Batnick. This is a graph of the bull market since 1950. So you can see 1950 to 68, 82 to 87, 91 to 2000, 2009 to today, in 2013. So let's talk about the blue, the orange, the gray, and the red. How similar are the blue, the orange, the gray, and the red? How similar are their slopes? Similar or not similar? So the orange, the blue, the gray, and the red, how similar are those slopes? Pretty similar. Which one is the outlier here? The yellow one. How long do you think this is going to be able to sustain this? Do you see any increases in, I mean, this is what? This is a pretty good rate of return right here. We were happy, or you'd be happy with this kind of rate of return. This one as well. But guys, how does this yellow one compare even to the other two best slopes? This is what? It's crazy straight up. And for how long? Yeah, it's insane. I would agree with that. It's insane. So all I'm saying is, guys, the shed with the 100-year-old newspapers with the can of gasoline is sitting there, and do we know what's going to light the match? But when it's lit, how quickly it's going to go. But I get, when you go to your clients, what do they want to do? Do they want to get out? Remember about a couple of weeks or 2 or 3 weeks ago, I showed you how much money went into the market last year. So, how much money went into the market right here? More than the last 10 years combined. More money in the last year went into the market than the last 10 years combined. So they're pouring money into the market here. Why? Because they think, oh my God, I missed out on this. Guys, what is that an indication of? Yeah, that's right, Mark. It's the top. And we don't know what's going to, but again, I get it. We all have fear of missing out. When you see this, you're like, oh my God, look at how much I missed out. I don't want to do it again. What's the likelihood that it's going to do it again? Or we're going to be up here, guys? High or unbelievably low? But I get it. Fear of missing out. For you, it's a fear of missing out for our clients. But I'm going to show this to you one more time. I'll keep showing it just so we need constant reminders. I need constant reminders. I get FOMO. I got millions sitting in cash right now, waiting for the market to correct, and it's been in cash for a couple years now. So it's tough to be sitting on the sidelines. But remember these graphs where Marion showed what would happen if you were in a FIA versus the S&P 500. What if you got out in 2005, which was how too soon? How many years too soon if you got out in 2005? How many years too soon? Yeah, 2 years too soon. So here you see the market, this light gray, and here's an FIA with a cap, a 5% cap. So who ended up better? Getting out 2 years early, who ended up better, here or here? What if you got out in 2006, a year early? Well, the dotted line here, would you rather be here or would you rather be down here? Let's see if I can get it. Would you rather be here or here? 114,000 or 98,000? That was getting out a year early. 2 years early, 119 versus 111. 1 year early, 114 versus 98. If you got out at the exact right time, 115 versus 108. So what was the biggest difference? How much did you lose out on? All three, 2 years early, 1 year early, or the perfect timing of the market. you still ended up what? Always better with what? Well, let's look at 2000. Same thing here. Got out 1, 2, 3 years early. So here's the FIA. Here's the market. Who came out better, 110 or 97? Get out a year early. Well, would you rather be at 110 or 97? Got pulled out at the exact right time. Would you rather be at 110 or 88? Are you hurt for getting out early, guys, and moving to an FIA? In fact, not only you're not hurt, you're what? Would these be good graphs to show to your clients who are worried about missing out? Yes. Because I get it. Because when Jeff, when you and I have talked, you said most guys have talked to their clients about moving to a more conservative stance. But what are the clients telling the advisors?
That they want to stay in the market.
And our job as advisors is to what? Be an order taker, or to what? What's the name in our profession?
Oh, to give advice.
And what advice would you give a client, Jeff?
I'd say you don't really if you want to make money, the best rule for making money is buy low and sell high. Right now, I don't think anyone would argue that it's high. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen, but I think we can all agree it's high. This isn't the time to be buying.
Yes. And all the great investors in the past, I actually have a slide from, I don't know, I did it a couple of years ago, with the biggest investors over the last 100 years. Guess what? I think it was like 25 of them. Guess what was mentioned by all 25? The best way to make money, guys, is how? What's the best way to make money? It's actually part of Warren Buffett's 2 rules. Yeah, to not lose money. Bernard Baruch has said it. Munger, I mean, all the big guys have said the best way to make money is not to lose money. And if you've ridden this bull market, you've made money, now you don't want to what? Lose it. Does that make sense? Because remember, this is the Shiller PE. Right now, it's saying that we should average, or if we just go back to mean, we'd lose 5.2% over the next 10 years. That's not a total 5.2. That's yearly 5.2. So it's saying that the market has to fall how much? How much does the market have to fall over the next 10 years at some point? What's 5.2? That's 50%. That's right, 50%. Now, again, it makes a caveat. In reality, it will never be the case that the Shiller PE will reverse to exactly to mean. It'll never reverse exactly to mean after 8 years. Table below gives us a better idea of the range. So if we're really, really lucky and the mean, it stays 150% above mean, and guys, what's the likelihood it's going to stay 50% above mean? High or low with the unbelievable rise over the last? It's very low, but that's so best case scenarios, making basically nothing each year over the next 10 years. If you're really unlucky, you could lose 13% over it. But see, here's the mean. If we went back to exactly the mean, 5.2. But tell me, which one of these looks good for the next 10 years? Average rate of return per year for the next 10 years. Any of these look good? Yeah. And as Jeff said, the great thing about an FIA is that what? It automatically does what for you? What does the FIA reset? So automatically buys low, sells high. Make sense? So just a reminder, guys, you're an advisor, not an order taker. Your job is to make sure clients are doing the right thing, and being heavily in the market right now is not the right thing. And if you looked at Fisher, here's a good indication. How many of you guys love Fisher? Let's get a raise of hands. How many of you guys love Fisher? Fisher Investments. And is he, but he's how much on TV right now? How much is Fisher Investments on TV right now? All over the place. And what do you think they have their clients in? Based on where he had his clients in 2000, based on where he had his clients in 2008, where does he have his money right now? 100% stock. That's where he had them in 2000. That's where he had them in 2008. 100% of stock. So I'm going to ask you, are you a Fisher or are you a good advisor? Because you can't be both. If you're a good advisor, you need to be what? Help your clients do the right thing. Make sense? So today, I want to talk about how we can really leverage some of the tools that we have to get more people in, get more referrals, et cetera, and find more money. remember last week or the week before, I said, if you don't want to market, that's okay. Then you need to be what? If you don't want to market, spend money on marketing, what do you need to be doing then? If right now you don't need to spend money on marketing, what should you be doing right now? Well, low cost, but more importantly, I said, how do you get lucky? Talk to clients? Yes. Talk to who? As many people as you can. If you're not going to spend money on marketing, your job is to meet as many people as you can, which is, yes, is talking to clients. Yes, to people to know, but more importantly, to talk to people that what? You don't know. And I had a couple of people, a couple of advisors say, you know, Mike, you really lit a fire under my rear end. I'm going to start networking more. Is that what I'm talking about? Are you going to get lucky by networking with colleagues? You guys are so smart. Yeah, we're not talking about networking with colleagues, because your colleagues, are they interested in getting referrals to you, or are they interested in getting referrals from you? To you or from you? From you. Yes. So what kind of people are we talking about meeting? Client type people. Look at your best client and think, where are those people? They could be at your place of worship after the service, or any of the groups that your place of worship has. It could be at your garden club, your motorcycling club, your bicycling club, your whatever. It could, wherever it is. It could be volunteering. Oh, volunteering. Do you want to be on a board, or do you want to be showing up at the volunteer events? Be on a volunteer board or at the events? Worker bee, that's right, events. Because your boards, you're going to get in front of 7 people. Events, you're going to get in front of lots of people. So that's exactly it. Chamber of Commerce, that's another good one. Does that make sense? So if you're in front of people, I want to show you some of the tools that we have that we can use to get them to say, hey, can you work with me? Can you look at my situation? And we go back to the agreement meeting to do that. Because at the agreement meeting, what percentage of people should you have opting in from if you get somebody to an agreement meeting from, let's say you're doing marketing. Now we're away from time. We're going to use these same tools to get in front of people that you know or that you meet at no cost. But now let's go back to, let's say that you did spend money on an event and you set up an agreement meeting with them. What percentage, Alfred, very good. What percent, yeah, 100%. That's right. 100% should be opt in. Why? I'm going to walk through why all of them should. And when they opt in, how many of them do you want to actually show up? After going to meeting 1, they opt in. How many do you want to show up? The 100% opt in to go to 2. What percentage should show up? All of them. That's right. So let's look at how we do that at the agreement meeting. We have the setting the tone script, the data gathering script, and then the most important, we have the goal script, and the second most important, the close script. So let's walk through these things right here. Setting the tone is going to address questions and how you're paid. Gather data, we all know how to do that. Setting goals, this is where we're going to get 100% of them to commit. 100% to commit. And closing is we're going to get 100% of them to show up for number 2. This gets them to 100% to commit. This gets 100% to show up. These are tools, these bottom 2 are tools that you can use when you meet new people. So we're going to spend, just touch on setting the tone, touch on gathering data, but we're going to spend more time on these 2 right here. So let's talk about setting the tone. Setting the tone, what you do think, what's going to happen the next hour? And guys, what's going to happen when you meet with somebody in the first meeting? What's going to happen in that hour? You're going to say, we're not here to make any recommendations. We're here to what? Just gather some data so that I can go back and put together a plan for you. So we're not here to answer any questions. And if you do have questions, I'll answer them if they're what? General or specific? General, that's right. And then you ask if you can take notes. If you'd like to record, guys, whether you send your recordings to me and Jeff or just for yourself, should you be recording your meetings? If you want to get better, the only way you're going to get better is by recalling what happened in the meeting or actually listening to what happened in the meeting. You have to listen because tapes don't lie, but do our minds get things mixed up? Do our minds give us the benefit of the doubt? Do our minds tell us we did better than we did? What percentage of drivers think they're above average? What percentage of people think that they're smarter than the average person, that they have above average intelligence? Yeah. So tapes don't lie. You got to listen. You got to listen to your tapes. So quickly, how we do that. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but you're going to say, first of all, I'm sure you got some questions from the workshop, but is everybody on your block the same or different? That's right. And they're all different. And do people want a one-size-fits-all solution or a solution tailored specifically to them, so that it's a perfect fit? Which one do people want? They all say what? Tailor fit. Yeah. So I know you have questions. I want to give you great answers that are tailored to you and your situation. Would it be okay if I find out a little bit about you before we get into your questions? And what are they going to say to that? What does 100% of people say that? Sure. So first, as a reminder, this is a complimentary, not a free meeting, not a no obligation meeting. It's a complimentary meeting. Why complimentary? Because that means you're getting something of value. And I understand as someone who's retired, you got a lot going on. You're probably busier than when you were actually working. So you are busy, and whether it's your hobbies, your friends, your family. So the fact that you took a couple of hours to come and listen to me at the event, I really appreciate that. And remember, guys, this is just for people who you actually paid to market to. You wouldn't do this with somebody who you just met. You're going to just do the goals and the close with somebody you met, the free marketing. I'm just giving an example, though, of if you paid for marketing, what you do. So as a thank you, I give you 1 hour of my personal time. What are you saying there? I know your time is valuable, and you took time to listen to me, so as a thank you, I'm giving you 1 hour of my personal time, quid pro quo. What are we saying? My time is what? Your time is valuable, but what? So is mine. To make sure that the whole experience, everything that you wanted to be. So that's why we're here today. To be honest with you, about half the people come to see us. They end up working with us long-term in one shape, form, or manner. We may help them with their investments, estate planning, whatever it may be. They'll pay us in any number of ways. And what they choose to do with us or how much we do for them, that's going to depend on how we're paid. But about half the people, just like you're sitting here today, we help them at no cost. We send them on their way, making simple adjustments, and they're always okay to give us a call back if they have any questions. So we end up saying, hey, listen, half the people work with us, but half the people don't. Just like you're sitting here today, half the people don't work with us. So I'm giving them the indication that they are not going to work with us. By talking about the half that doesn't work with us, just like you're sitting here today, and doing it second, we're saying that they're probably the half that works with us or probably the half that doesn't work with us. What are we implying here? Nick's got it. Yeah, it doesn't work with us. That's right. And what does that do for them? It puts them because do we want them to commit to us this early in the meeting? No. So is it okay and actually a good thing if we've already said, hey, I know you're probably not going to work with me? Yeah, it puts them at ease. That's exactly right. So have you ever been in a situation, and then we get into, have you ever been in a situation where two people see different? That's how you get people committed. And as well, this script here, how you get people to commit to recording. So you can go back at your leisure. Obviously, this is all on the website. And then we're going to gather the data. And you don't need me to tell you how to gather data. You've been doing it for decades, most likely. So you're going to gather data. But now we get into the goals, which you can use whether you paid for marketing or you met somebody at a volunteer event or after church or at your local bar or in the airport when you're traveling. It's when you meet new people, you can use these goals to get them to say, hey, will you look at my situation? We're going to use insatiable curiosity and get them to commit their interest into the reality of a meeting. So those are the goal questions. Let's talk about them. So this is from the data gathering form. This is goal questions. So the first one, this first one, I want to pass on as much money as possible to my heirs. How many times, what percentage of times do you get people that say that that's what their main concern is, that they have a high concern? 1 out of 5, 5 being way concerned and 1 being not concerned. Yeah, I mean, 1 or 2. But the reason we ask it is that would be an easy what? That should be an easy what? If they do answer that, yes, it takes us 1 minute to ask it. If they answer it, what can we sell very easily? Life insurance, yeah. So we do ask it, but we don't spend a lot of time there. The rest of these, though, we do spend time on. So the first one is money lasts a lifetime. How about making sure your money lasts a lifetime? How many people say they're concerned about that? Everybody. And they say, now, without changing any of your current investments, but instead using what you already have, there are different ways you can do that. We can increase your income by 25 to 100%. And not only when you pull out that money, we're not going to increase your chance of running money. We're going to lessen your chance of running out of money. So why is this so important to emphasize and begin with without changing any of your current investments? Why is that bolded and underlined? What's that telling the client? No hassle, Nobody has to change your current advisor. It's just going to be some information. That opens their ears. Then we say 25 to 100%. And guys, which one of our techniques will increase their rate of return by 25 all the way up to 100%, and they don't have to move any of their current investments? Not the sale, because with the sale, do they have to move investments? Yes. So which one without moving the investments? A couple of you got the right answer already. Yep, now everybody's getting it. Yes, it's with the HECM method. And if you want a refresher on all of these things, all you do is click here on the website, and it will walk you through all of these different things. Okay, it'll walk you through all these different things and how we can use the sale, how we can use the HECM, and what all of these things are talking about. Make sense? But on a scale of 1 to 5, when you ask them this question, how many people are going to say 5? I'm most concerned. I want to see that. What percentage of people are going to say that? All of them. All of them are going to say 5. And again, that's where you learn it. Right here in the agreement and the goal script, you find all this stuff. So now, how many 5s do we have? How many 5s, which is, I want to see this? We have 1. Now we'll go to the next question. How would you like to pay less taxes? What percentage of people say that? Most of them. But then you say more specifically, how would you like to learn on a scale of 1 to 5? How interested in you learning how you could cut your tax you pay in your IRA or retirement account withdrawals by up to 70%? Because right now, what percentage of your retirement, IRA retirement, and your 401k, etc., what percentage do you pay taxes on? What percentage do you pay taxes on? All of it. How would you like to reduce that by 70%? Would you be interested in hearing how you do that? And what does everybody say? On a scale of 1 to 5, where are they? 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? They're all 5. So now how many 5s do we have? And then we follow up. Now, that's on your retirement money, but how about reducing the tax you pay on your investment income down to just 1%? I don't care if you're in the 15, 25, or 37% tax bracket. We'll bring it down to just 1% on your investment income. Where on a scale of 1 to 5 would you be on that? And how many people say 5? So now, how many 5s do we have? Yeah. And then we go from long-term care, because why do people not buy long-term? If everybody could get free long-term care insurance, how many people would want it? Everybody. The reason they don't is because it costs too much money. So when you were gathering data, you did ask them, because remember, we gather data before we do the goals. So while you were gathering the data, you asked them if they had long-term care. Most people are going to say no, and you ask them, why is that the case? And they're going to say because it was too expensive. So you say, hey, I realized when we talked earlier, you said you did not have long-term care insurance, but I forgot to ask, have you ever applied for the program that pays for 2 years of long-term care costs without having to pay expensive annual premiums? You haven't? Well, on a scale of 1 to 5, where would you be on wanting to know more about how you could apply for that? Now, how many people are going to say, on a scale of 1 to 5, what are people going to say there? 5. Because they're basically getting it what? At no cost. So now how many 5s do we have? And remember, on the bottom, on the website, under agreement, under goals, we have these scripts, and then we also have explanations on how we do these things. We can do every single thing that we say we can do. Here's the explanation. We have for taxes, we have for long-term care, we have it for the 25%. But now, look at how many 5s we have. They came in maybe wanting to know one thing, but now we have 4 different 5s. And then we say, now you said you'd like to have more income, but I forgot to ask, we've already talked about analyzing current assets to find 10 different, or actually it's a dozen different ways to draw money out for the highest income with the least chance of running out of money and people the least amount of taxes, but I forgot to ask, on a scale of 1 to 5, how important is Social Security income to you? Well, have you applied for the program that will replace half of your Social Security when you lose a spouse? When they go to the pearly gates, guess what happens to their check? It goes away. Have you applied for the program to replace half of your spouse's Social Security? What will people say to that? What do 100% of people say to that? No. Well, how important would that be on a scale of 1 to 5 for me to run that analysis for you? So now how many 5s do we have? 5 5s. So they came in maybe for one thing, but now we have 5 out of 5s. We've gone from 1 to 5 out of 5s. How many people are going to say, yeah, I want to know those things? What percentage of people, if you do that, go through that like that, what percentage of people are going to say, yes, I want to know how to do those things? Yeah. And are you going to have to sell them on why it's a great deal? I can do a lot of things for you. I can really look at your situation, and I can show you where your problems are, and I can. Do you have to do any selling? Or are they going to opt in and say, those are all 5. I want to know how to do those things? How many people are going to fight back when you tell them that you need to see their statements, tax returns, power of attorney, etc.? How many people are going to say, I don't want you to see that? I don't want you to see it. How many people are going to do that? None. That's right, none. But we don't stop there because they're excited. They're excited. They want those 5 things in your office. But as soon as they cross your office threshold, get in their car, what starts to happen to that fire to some people? That fire to find these things out. What starts to happen, not everybody, but with some people, what starts to happen to that fire? It starts to wane or dwindle, that's right. So we have the close. If they're going to start to waffle, when do we want them to waffle? In the car or at home or 2 days from now? Or do we want them to waffle right in our office? Yeah, in our office. So then we're going to do the close. And we're going to tap into greed, fear, and frustration. How visceral are these emotions? They're very visceral. So the close is super. I have those things noted. We'll actually come back with a report that will detail all these benefits you're owed and might not be receiving. So we're usually find between 16 to 21 benefits that are currently aware that you're not available. And heck, we've already covered 3 or 4 here in the last, or 5 of them, in fact, in the last few minutes, haven't we? Now, did you bring your statements? If not, here's the conversation. There's a conversation you go through to get them to give you the statements. Can I take a look at them? Most people, some people brought them, some don't. Again, it's very easy to get them to give you to bring them back to you with this script here. But can I take a look at them? Well, that pretty much is all I need to begin putting your personal report together. Now, I have a couple of questions for you. Why is it a good thing to go through your control your assets, this process we're going through right now? What good could come from it? So what I'm asking you guys, that question there, are we tapping into greed, fear, or frustration? Hey, why is it a good thing to go through this now? What good could come from it? Are we doing greed, fear, or frustration there? Greed, that's right, greed. We're going to have them tell us in their own words what good could come from that. And then once they tell us in their own words, we then say, and what could happen if we waited 6 months or a year to look at these things? Now what are we tapping into? Fear. Because can they apply for the program that's going to replace their spouse's Social Security when they die, after they die, or they have to do it before? Can they apply for the long-term care protection for 2 years without expensive annual premiums? Do they have to do that before, or can they do it after? Can they protect their money before or after? Can they get lower taxes before or after the tax year's ended? They have to be what? So we're tapping into what? Fear of missing out. We just talked about that earlier. Fear of missing out. Is that a strong emotion or a tiny emotion? That's a strong fear of missing out. Fear is a very strong emotion. Now we have to get them to commit that even if this is slightly a hassle, even if it's slightly frustrating, they're going to still go through the process and come back to us. So we've tapped into greed and fear. Now we're going to tap into frustration. Then let me ask you a question. Why is it worth your time and hassle to do this now? I mean, you're putting in time today. You may need to answer a few questions, follow-up that I have for you if I miss anything today. You may have to dig through some of your filing cabinets and come back and bring me those statements. Why is it worth that little bit of hassle and time to go through this process right now? The reason I ask that is we want to tap into frustration. So they're going to say in their own words why it's better to go through that right, why it's okay, or not even okay, but why even when they go home, if it's frustrating to do these things, they should do it. Because when they go home and the husband says, you know what, this is such a hassle, I don't want to go back and drop these things off, what's the wife going to say? We talked about this in the office, and you agreed that it was worth the frustration to bring this stuff back to them. We all agreed in the office that it was worth it to do this. See how we're getting them in the office out loud in their own words to say, yeah, I know it's going to be a little bit of a hassle. Yeah, I know I'm going to have to put these documents together. Yeah, I know I'm going to, in some cases, have to bring them back to you to make copy. But they're saying, yes, I still want to do it even if it's not the most convenient thing possible. Do you want them to have that conversation in your office, or do you want them to have it at home without you there? You want them to have it in the office. Does that make sense? Super, blah, blah, blah. We go through this. We'll meet you next Thursday. Now, if they didn't bring them in, here's the conversation that you have if they did not bring those things in. But now we have the goals, right? And we've got them to commit out loud because of greed, fear, and frustration. They're going to move forward with this. The great thing about the goals, though, that's an important thing to get 100% of people to agree to the 21-point checklist, 100% of people to show up. But the great thing about the goals, it's a Swiss Army knife. It's a Swiss Army knife because you now have 3 USPs. You have USPs. You have one that I show people how to increase their income from their retirement accounts by 25% or more and lower their chance of running out of money without changing their investments. We have that USP. We also have the USP is I have a program to protect your wife from losing half her Social Security income at your death. And we have the third one. I have a program to cover 2 years of long-term care costs without paying a cent in annual premiums. Do you see all these three? Are these 3 important USPs for people? Well, I'll prove it to you. This is from an ARP and AgeWave survey of retirees. And this is what they found people were concerned with. 88% were concerned about having enough money for financial peace of mind. 74% were concerned about investments to provide guaranteed income, investments guaranteed not to lose value, serious health problems, making a sense of long-term care Medicare, covering long-term care costs, not being a burden to the family, help dealing with inheritance, provide income to my family when I die, health care expenses, outliving my money, investment with potential high return, would like to accumulate as much wealth as possible. Guys, what are the 2 things that are on the bottom of this list? Investment with potential to provide high return, but has higher risk. It would like to accumulate as much wealth as possible. What are most advisors concentrating? The top of this list or the bottom of this list? What are most advisors? Top of the list or the bottom of this list? Are they trying to talk the language of 88% of people or 12% of people? Now, here's the great thing. But with our USPs, we address all of these. These yellow ones, getting a 25% higher rate of return, all the way up to 100%, doubling your retirement income, with less chance of running out of money. Does that address having financial peace of mind? Yes. Does it address investments that provide guaranteed income? Yes. Does it address investments guaranteed not to lose value? Yes. Does it address not being a burden on family? Yes. Does it address income to my family when I die? Yes. Does it address outliving my money? Is getting a 25 to 100% higher income, does that address getting a higher return? Yes. Will it also help you accumulate as much money as possible? Yes. But here's the great thing. Those other 2 USPs, getting long-term care without expensive annual premiums, does that address serious health problems? Does replacing your spouse's Social Security when they pass away, does that addressing helping make sense of Social Security and Medicare? Long-term care costs, again, 2 years without expensive annual premiums, dealing with inheritance and legacy matters, healthcare expenses. So now we're addressing how many of these concerns. With those 3 unique selling propositions, how many of these concerns are we addressing? And how many of your competitors are using any of those USPs? None. Do you see the powerful tools you have more? When you're addressing these things, how many people are going to say, tell me more. Tell me more about how you do that. So those USPs, can you use them in a backyard barbecue? Yes. Can you use them in your newsletters? Yes. Can you use it as a PS in your email? Can you use it in a PS on your letterhead? We've got guys now putting it on their cars, those USPs. Also, when you're doing a seminar on something unrelated, like Social Security, can I still talk about getting a 25% higher return, higher income, 25 to 100% higher income without moving your investments and lessening your chance of running money? Do you think somebody there is about Social Security is interested in that USP? Okay. Can I also talk to them about, and should I, if it's a workshop about Social Security, should I also be addressing the fact that there's a program out there that can replace their spouse's income when they pass away? And how many of your competitors doing Social Security seminars are using that USP? They're actually doing a Social Security workshop, and they're not talking about that. Does that make sense? So these are all ways that when you get in front of people, well, not this one, but this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. These are no-cost ways to get your message out in front of more people. And you should be using these USPs wherever and anywhere you can. Does that make sense? So the 5 USP will make getting in front of people much easier. But do you see why, if you do decide to do marketing presentations, we have 2 of them that you can use all 3 USPs on. You can use it with our tax seminar. You can use it with our income focus seminar. But you'll always, at the end, use those 3 USPs to get people to make those appointments. And then guess what you should also do at the end? What else should you use at the end of your seminars if you decide to do seminars? The close. Why? What could you get out of learning these things now? What would happen if you waited 6 months? And why is it you're spending your time today here? You could be doing other things. Why does it make sense and for us to invest more time and a little bit of hassle to come see me again and get these things done? Can you use the same close at a seminar that you use at the agreement meeting? Not only could you, should you? Yes. Well, then won't you be doing the same thing, saying the same thing at the end of the first meeting? Yes. And a lot of guys get afraid. Well, I'm saying the same thing. I'm repeating myself. Guys, we found that how many contacts does it take before people will move their money to you or buy something from you? When you watch TV, how many times do you see a commercial? Do they change the commercial every single time, or is it the same thing over and over and over? And what has psychology told us about familiarity? The more we hear something, the more bored we get it, or the more we think it's fact? The more we hear something, yeah, the Liberty Mutual song, right, in my head forever, right, Mark? The more you hear something, even if it's a lie, the more you hear it, the more you believe it. We're not telling lies here. Can we do all 3 of those? Can we do, without a doubt, would I go on national TV and on primetime TV and look the camera in the eye and say, I can do these 5 things that I say I can do? Can we do all 5 things that we say we can do for the goal? Yeah. We have proof right there on the website. Make sense? So whether you're going to market or whether you're going to use free things, how well should you understand and be well versed at these USPs? Because they address all the things retirees are worried about. Again, how many of your competitors have the tools to do this? None of them. So what you want to do is get out, because who's your best prospect? Who's your best prospect? Who's your best prospect? Your competitor's best client. That's right, Nick. Your competitor's best client is your best prospect. Because if they're working with a competitor, do they like advisors? Yes. If it's your competitor's best client, do they have money? Yes. And do you think your competitor's best clients would be interested in these 3 USPs? And do you think your competitors has addressed these 3 USPs? No. So that's why the more people you get in front of, however you want to do that, pay for it, do it for free, just the more people you get this in front of, the luckier you're going to get in 2022. Make sense? Awesome. Any questions on this? Any questions? Guys, these are 3 unbelievably powerful tools. But if you keep the tools in the toolbox, guess what happens? Nothing. Awesome. So get these tools out. Start hammering as many people as possible with these USPs. Make sense? Awesome. You guys have a terrific rest of the weekend. We'll talk to you all next Monday. Thanks, everybody.